y'all, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Angel, aka the Angelic Muse. I am an intuitive tarot reader as well as a certified Reiki practitioner. And as you can see from the title of the video, I am back here with another pick a card for you all. So this topic is basically on what other people say about you when you are not in the room, when you are not around, when you are not present. So just a little disclaimer here, there are 3 readings for you to choose from, and depending upon how many people end up watching this video, there may be something in the pile that you choose that does not resonate with you completely. However, I do know that at the end of the day, it will either confirm what you were already thinking people said, or it may even surprise you as well. But again, these are general messages, so take what resonates and leave what does not. And yeah, so we have 3 piles for you all to choose from. So for your first pile, we have this white and gold feather. For your second pile, we have a black and gold feather. And then for your third and final pile, we have a all gold feather. So, if you want to take a second now to pause the video so that you can meditate on whichever pile or feather gravitates towards you, you can do so now. All of the decks that I'm using will be listed down below, as well as the timestamp, so you can jump right into your pile. And also all of my personal links will be down below if you'd like to book a personal session with me, or if you'd like to connect with me on another platform, you can find that down below as well. But other than that, so I am going to be using this tarot deck. I'm not really sure if I'm going to be live shuffling on camera or if I'm going to be pre-shuffling prior to for each pile. However, all of the oracle cards have been pre-shuffled and pre-pulled already, so those are there. But I'll decide that, I guess, as I get further along. So, but yeah, other than that, I thank you all so much for being here, and I hope you enjoy your reading. Hey, pile 1. So if you chose this white and gold feather here, then let's get into your reading. So I did lay the oracle cards out just so that I could figure out how I was going to position these, and then your tarot will lay here. So we're going to start up here with these African goddess cards. So you have Jumbie Masks for your first card. And then you have Marie Laveau with Good Juju. Okay, so one thing I will say that people say behind your back is that you're very good at adapting. And things always seem to work out for you. So people may like kind of behind your back. Obviously, it's not really negative talk. However, some people may speak to where they're it's more of like a jealous or admirable way, depending on who it is that's talking. Some people may say, oh, well, she never, like with these mini masks here, I see like someone who can wear many hats, or someone who puts on a good face no matter what. When, others may look at that as like being inauthentic because you're kind of masking or hiding your problems or acting as if nothing bothers you. But I don't feel like a majority of the people think that. There may be a select few that feel that way. However, I feel like majority of them just think, no, he or she is just very adaptable. They're good at not allowing their problems to be the end-all be-all. So you're very resilient. And because of that, you tend to have like good luck, good fortune, or blessings on your side more often than not. And even if you don't have, if you don't find the position to be in your favor or the outcome to be in your favor, you always find a way to make it work for you. I feel like some people may even like speculate or wonder if you do some sort of like magic or spell work in order to obtain these things, just as Marie Laveau did in her time. But I feel like for the most part, everything that people say in regards to that aspect of you is more so positive, or they're admiring. And even jealousy, if you look at it that way, that's a form of admiration too, because in a sense people want what you have. Not to say you're necessarily better, but just to say you're, good at like I said, adapting or just maneuvering around things that may be in the way. So I'm gonna go into these now. You have dances on one foot, balancing act here. You have detox, repairing the body, mind, and spirit. And you have deep diver, diving into a task. So yeah, this dances on one foot, balancing act kind of goes back to what I was saying about you being adaptable. I feel like you don't really let anything knock you off your square. You have a very good way of keeping it all together, and that is one of the biggest things that people notice about you. They notice that you kind of move in grace, or you're very poised. You may walk a certain way, you may not hunch your back, you may dress really nice. Or I'm just thinking about a dancer, how they wear, costumes or uniforms in order to like please the crowd. So you may like be very pleasing to the eye as well, is what I'm picking up. With this detox, repairing the body, mind, and spirit card, I feel like what this is saying is that your self-care plays a big role with you. So again, people notice this without you, like with you. You don't mind isolating yourself. I feel like people notice you are alone a lot of the times, and you don't seem to have an issue with it. And again, like I feel like for some people they may be envious of that in a way, because they're like, well, why does she not have an issue with being alone? Why does she not need anybody? Or he, rather, whatever the case. But I know majority of my audience is women, so that's why I kind of naturally say she, but you don't have to be. Why do they not have an issue prioritizing themselves? Like, even if you have children, or even if you have other obligations outside of that, it seems as though you always have it together. Like you're like, how they say, and I don't idolize anything or anybody, but like I don't know why Beyonce just came to my mind in the way that like people will say she'll have all these things being said about her, but she doesn't respond to it. And I feel like that may be your type of attitude about things. Like you have no problem brushing that off your shoulder because you know that what other people say about you is just a projection of them, whether it be good or bad. It's a projection of them, and people notice that. People notice how well you take care of yourself, and they admire that. They don't really know how you do it, and they may even ask you at times. Like you may get that question, or like I said, there's some who kind of teeter the fence and they don't know how to react to you, so they may just kind of wonder. But it does seem like something that is in the forefront of a lot of people's minds when it comes to you. It's like, how does he or she do it? Like, just in general. It could be solving your problems. It could be the way you style yourself. It could be the way you take care of yourself. Just your entire mindset on things, your outlook. It's like, how does that person find a way to make it in this jumbled world? Because that's really all it is, And I think a lot of it has to do with you being present in the moment, because that's the kind of the key, is not focusing on the past or the present. I mean the future, in terms of where you are in the moment. And I think that's what keeps you kind of grounded, because whatever isn't working for you in the moment will work out for you later. Or like rejection is redirection is one of the things that you may tell yourself. And with this deep diver task, I feel like you're very concentrated, you're very focused and hardworking. And a lot of people say that about you behind your back, is that you don't mince on your work. Like you don't skimp on it. You give your best, you give your all. And not only that, but you're very dedicated. So as far as friendships go, as far as relationships goes, and family, you may really dive into a person. Like you may ask questions that are like very probing, and that kind of get to the root. So I feel like other people may say that you're very understanding, and like in depth. Like you have like this oh man, what's the word I'm looking for? Like you have a very, I don't want to say intricate, but you just have a very you're just very deep. I'll just keep it that way because I can't think of the word right now, but you have a way of doing that. And not only that, but you're not afraid to go beyond the surface with things. You're not afraid to get to, you're probably the person who asks why a lot, or you at least question it in your head. And people may even go as far as to say like or not only that, I won't say people may go as far. I'll say this: people may come to you for a lot of advice or insight on how you view things or what your perspective is, just based on how deep you are able to go, and they admire that about you as well. So that's definitely something that comes up in the room when you're not around. And let's see if anything else comes up from here. Not only that, I'll say this: people behind your back, people talk about the fact that you're honest with yourself, and you're not afraid to be honest with yourself. Because with this Detox card, repairing the body, mind, and spirit, this is about like being accountable. And I feel like you're a very accountable person. Like you hold yourself, like I said, to a certain standard, and other people notice that. So because you do that, and it's not necessarily for show, it's really because that's genuinely just how you are as a person. So, but because you're able to do that, you're able to take accountability better and to check yourself for your own mistakes and shortcomings and things of that nature. And you don't have a problem with it. It doesn't bother you because you know you're human. So people definitely notice how accepting you are of yourself and other people in other situations as well. It's a very good traits to have. So let's get into these. These say, live your life with both feet in, commit to fully being here. And I feel like this kind of taps into what I was saying about you being present and in the moment. Is because you're not so focused on the past and what is like set in stone in the future, which can be molded into whatever it is that you want it to be. I feel like behind your back, people talk about how you know your power and how you are very confident and not afraid to go to the other side of things in order to, like, you're okay with understanding other people's perspectives. Even if you're not in agreement with them, I feel like it's something that you are capable of doing. And that is a very, very hard act to follow, honestly, because, you know, once your mind is made up about most things, for the most part, people are kind of like not easily swayed. And not to say you are, but you're okay with understanding, like, okay, there's a million and one ways to get the same thing. So, you know, you're very open-minded. I'll say that. And I feel like people say that behind your back. It says, take responsibility for your choices. This is your life to live. Own it. Going back to what I was saying about accountability, you definitely hold yourself accountability, and in turn, you hold other people accountability too. You may be like, behind your back, people may say things like you're very, like no bullshit. Like, not only that, but if you're a woman, like you could have like that motherly instinct to you where you are like, okay, like, you know that's not supposed to be being done. Like that's kind of you. You check other people just as you would check yourself, and they essentially appreciate that about you for the most part. You know, those who are not honest with themselves, or who don't necessarily gravitate towards you, because, you know, everybody doesn't like everybody. But if you find yourself in a situation where you're around someone who may or may not gravitate towards you, in the back of their minds, what they're saying about you behind your back, it could be something similar to like you feeling like you're better than other people. When that's not the case, the reality of it is you don't feel like you're better. You actually feel like we're all like treated in fairness. It's just a matter of what choices you make. Like I said, you have to be able to take responsibility for them, and excuse me, you have to be able to take responsibility for them and, you know, move accordingly based off of that. Then lastly, you have stop ruminating over what you did or didn't do. Let it go. So yes, going back to what I was saying with this past, present, and future thing, you don't sit here and like, you don't harp on what shoulda, coulda, woulda happened. You kind of just move based on what the present moment is the vibe is, or what the energy is telling you to do. And more so, not only that, but your intuition, not necessarily the energy, because the energy could be telling you to do something very different, but your energy within yourself and your intuition, I feel like you follow that more than you follow the crowd. You're very eccentric and different in that aspect, and it shows outwardly, physically, in your personality and your style and the way you dress, like I said. But like, you may always have that like difference to you, but inwardly as well, because the way you show up in the world, other people really ultimately admire that about you. And they more so question how you do it than to actually talk about you. I feel like a lot of people may spend more time thinking about like ways that you could be doing it or getting it done, instead of just simply asking you, because this energy does feel very sure of itself, and it can feel intimidating to some people. So maybe that's another thing people say, is he or she is very intimidating, but not necessarily in a way where they won't approach you or have conversation with you. I think you make friends and acquaintances and associates fairly easily if they take the time out, but for the most part, you staying to yourself is another form of intimidation, because people don't necessarily know how to take that. You know how, like, if someone's quiet for the most part, or like I said, you dive deep into a task, and most times with that, it takes a lot of concentration and silence, and you can't have people around you, and because of that, you tend to self-isolate. But you also know when to come back in and join the conversation as well. So yeah, that's pretty much what I'm getting for the oracle messages, as far as what people say about you behind your back in that aspect. So let's see what these tarot cards say. All right, so you got the Nine of Cups. You got the Six of Wands. You got the Eight of Cups. You got the Five of Cups. And then you have the Eight of Pentacles. So, back to what I was saying about this isolation thing. Like, I really feel like you spend a lot more time on your own, doing your own thing, and you're just fine with that. And when the crowd does come in, like, and when people do come in with praise and, things to say, good things to say about you, I feel like you definitely take heed to it with this Six of Wands energy. However, you don't forget, like, your past and what it is that you've had to go through in order to obtain that. I feel like with the Nine of Cups, like I said, you're very satisfied. You're very content with making life work for you in the way that, like, whatever it throws at you. Again, people say you're very adaptable. Like, you can make, like, if life gives you lemons, you making strawberry lemonade. You know what I mean? It's like, how did she come up with the strawberries? How did he come up with blueberry lemonade? How did he come up with these blueberries? We thought we was just making lemonade over here, but you kind of add your own twist to it. I'm noticing that with him, like, doing different forms of pottery and everything looking different in the end. That kind of just plays back into your adaptability. But I will say this, like I was saying up there with the Mask card and you being able to adapt, and it may come off inauthentic to other people. It's because you don't show that the maybe sadder or more uncomfortable moments that you go through. And it actually may be more of a highlight than you are thinking. That's just a little side note. And I'm not saying go blast all your lows online or tell everybody how bad things do get for you, but I'm just saying, like, as far as advice goes, that may be something that opens you up a bit more if you were, like, encouraged to, like, say, hey, I know it seems like this on one end, or for the most part, but I still do have my downfalls and my lows, and this is how I get through them. Versus, people just kind of asking the question. Because, like I said, I feel like a lot of people do more asking than they do actually, like, figuring out how you do what you do. But I will say this, with this Eight of Cups into the Five of Cups energy, I feel like you're not afraid to walk away from things that don't serve you. And other people may say that, like maybe past relationships or past friendships that didn't serve you, they may look at you as if like you moved on fairly easily. And it's like, you could have cried your eyes out, bawled your eyes out, but it's like, what I feel like for you, you feel like, what benefit is it for you to know that, especially if this isn't going anywhere? And other people take that as like you're very straightforward. I'll say that. People definitely say you're straightforward, you're to the point. Not only that, but people say that you bounce back quickly. With this Eight of Pentacles to finish off the reading, it feels like you are somewhat of a perfectionist. People may say that, and that kind of ties into you not showing the things that the adversities and things that come along. Or maybe you do, but it's very brief, because it just feels like a brief passing here. So you may highlight it or talk about it to certain people, but you don't stay down for long. And I feel like that's a big thing that people really, really admire about you. And you're very, like I said, you're very hardworking. This Eight of Pentacles goes back into this deep diver task. You don't mind doing something until you get it right. Like, you're very much a learning spirit. You have the gift of like being able to be tasked with something, no matter how difficult it may seem on the outside. And again, like I said, you figure it out. And the Eight of Pentacles is in isolation, and there's a whole bunch of construction going on in the background, but he's still very much focused on what it is that he's doing here. So I feel like people say you have the ability to shut out a lot of noise and distractions, and that is essentially what keeps you focused and, you know, in this amazing alignment that you seem to be in. And again, like I said, a lot of people wonder, how does he or she do it? So I didn't really pick up, like I said, there does seem to be like a tinge of jealousy in here between maybe some other people, some parties. They may or may not make that known to you, or maybe they do, but it doesn't feel like, it feels like for the most part you're very likable, and you're very, very admired and looked up to, even if you don't realize that. So yeah, so Pile 1, this is what I have for you. If it resonates, please let me know down below in the comments. You can like and subscribe as well. I would love for you to join our community. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day or your night. Hey Pile 2, welcome to your reading. So if you chose this black and gold feather here, then we're going to get into it. So like I was telling Pile 1, and I'm going to tell Pile 3, I had laid out all the oracle cards on the table because there's so many, and I was trying to figure out how I was going to lay these cards out. So I just repeated what I did with Pile 1 with your piles. So anyway, we're going to get into these oracle cards first, starting out with these two up here, and then we'll follow along as it goes. So your first card is Heyyy, Awakening. Your second card is, I might pronounce this wrong, so forgive me, Abel Nimba or Abal Nimba, Harvest. So as far as what people say about you behind your back with these two, I would say that some people would say that your life, or that you're very hard on yourself. You're very hardworking to begin with, but you're very hard on yourself. And I only say that because awakenings are hard. Like, spiritual awakenings are hard to go through. They're never really easy or comfortable to go through, because you're like, eyes are being opened even more. And the more you know, the more painful it can be at times. But I feel like it's also benefited you in your favor with this Harvest card. I feel like people think that you may be difficult on yourself, or you may have even had a hard life in some aspects of it. But with this Harvest card, you've been able to reap the benefits of all that hard work, or of all that turmoil and the fighting and obstacles and adversities that you've been hit with. You've been able to alchemize and come up with ways to make your life fruitful and abundant. And not only that, but I feel like people say that you're very giving as well, because you may have that type of personality where you like it's more than enough for all of us to go around. So I'm noticing like all this food and things around, and I'm pretty sure, you're not hoarding it all to yourself. Because typically, like I said, when you have awakenings, your eyes are open more, and the more you see, and it doesn't make you more selfish. It actually makes you less of that way. Um, Not in a way where you overgive. I don't feel like you overgive. It doesn't give me that vibe. But I feel like you may overwork at times, and that may be something people say about you, like such as and so should take a break. They're always working, they're always doing this, they're always doing that, and it's like you're always on the move, um, without much downtime to rest because you have like these big goals or dreams that you have that you want to make come to life. So, um, I feel like those are some traits and qualities that people say you have with her being pregnant. I feel like you have the ability to like create and birth new ways of thinking or new ways of like viewing things, and that is what's allowed you to be able to build the way that you have, because it takes a lot to be a lot, so it doesn't just come with ease. If you're not much, you're just simply that, not much, no matter what it looks like on the outside. But I feel like on the inside of you, people definitely take notice to that and how abundant your love and your ability to give is, and your ability to give grace. Now, you may not give that grace to yourself as often because you're so hardworking, and you kind of always on the move. But I feel like with other people, you may have that ability, a great ability with that. So let's see. So we're gonna go into these now. I think I did that the last pile, and then I moved over here. So your first card is Heart, Home, Compassion. Your second card is Fortune's Wheel, Luck, and Right Timing. And then your last card for this oracle deck is Magician's Sword, Confidence in Your Magic. So, yeah, going back to what I was saying about you being kind of hard on yourself, I feel like you may have that compassion and that ability to be that way towards other people. Like you give a lot of people grace, but not so much for yourself. And that's something people notice. You may like not necessarily talk down on yourself. It could be something that you do, talking down on yourself. But just not having that same amount of room to grow as you give other people. And it's not like you're a doormat. It's more so just like you're more understanding of others than you are with yourself. With this Luck and Right Timing card, I do feel like you, with this awakening that you've had or are going through, I feel like this card is just kind of foretelling what's to come, and that is your sure abundance outwardly and inwardly. If you haven't already attained it, you may, on the outside, you may look like you have it all together. You may look like you have anything that you want, and you can get it at any moment in time as well. But there still just keeps coming up the part about not giving yourself grace for some reason. Because I'm thinking about like the Wheel of Fortune, and anytime I really pull this card, I figure it kind of ties into it in some way. And I know the Wheel of Fortune does come with like uncomfortable but fated moments, and I feel like that kind of contributes to your awakening. And it's like you're making all the marks when it comes to learning about that, but when it comes to the growing compassion and forgiveness for yourself when you make mistakes, that's something that may need to be highlighted, because it just seems to be something that keeps coming up that maybe other people pick up on you very easily, whether they say it or not. It just seems like something that is there. And with the confidence in your magic, I do feel like there is a bit of an insecurity here. An insecurity wound, like I'm good for right now, but like what about later? Like I feel like you may always kind of look towards the future, and like where you'll be, like you don't want to lose what it is that you have now, and people see how hard you work to maintain that, and they're that insecurity or that fear may outwardly show. Like even though you look a certain way on paper, you know, you can't just bypass what's deeper either. You know what I mean? It's like it's going to show up eventually. It's going to seep through the cracks, and I feel like a part of that has been seeping through the cracks, in a way where it's very obvious in certain instances. So, I know this isn't an advice reading, so I'm not going to give any, but I'm just going to move on, because this is just what I'm picking up for what other people say about you. Like I said, I feel like you have an amazing ability to make things happen for you and to obtain things for yourself from a physical standpoint. Like you can go buy a bunch of homeless people food and not, it'd be no sweat off your back. But when it comes down to sitting down with yourself and being honest with yourself and having that compassion and love for yourself, you kind of just don't know how to navigate those waters as best as you do, like maybe like more tangible things, or just giving, like I said, giving other people grace or advice. It's like you just don't necessarily know how to maneuver through it when it comes to yourself. But these cards, I'm going to get to these oracles now. This says a little bit of faith goes a long way. Remember that. This one says clear your mental and physical clutter. You will feel so much better. And then the last one says do something kind for someone without any expectation. So yeah, again, this is just kind of confirming what I was saying about you. Not like you'll give your shirt off your back to a complete stranger if you need to. You know, you'll buy the homeless people food. You'll give a ride to a stranger knowing damn well that could be somebody who's crazy. I'm not saying don't. I'm just saying be discerning. But some people, you know what I mean? It's just like you're that kind of person who does for others with no hesitation. You have no problem with like helping other people out. And not to say that, like, I feel like that's what makes you feel better. Like that makes you feel good, helping other people out. And they don't necessarily not like the fact that you help them. They love the fact that you're helpful in that area, but they just wish that you would be that way towards yourself. But it does look like you're very determined at the end of the day with this. A little bit of faith goes a long way. I feel like that's what's gotten you where you are, as far as like maybe monetarily or just maybe even physically, like just the way you carry yourself and the way you take care of yourself. I feel like your faith has really played a big part in that. Because again, with this luck and right timing card, that talks all about like just being in the right place at the right time. So, and with the awakening card at that, you have to understand a lot of people don't awaken at all. And if they do, it's only to a certain extent. They don't push themselves even further. And I feel like you're not afraid to go against the grain and just continue to push, you know, continue to do things differently in your way, just to like kind of take, to what's the word I'm looking for? To squeeze all of the juice out of life. Like, I feel like that's something you're actually looking forward to doing. It's just, you know, you got to move past certain, I mean, we're all human, you know, there's certain things we have to move past, but that is something you may want to work on. Again, I know this isn't advice, but definitely work on that within yourself, because you can give 1,001% to everyone else. You got to be able to give 2 million back to yourself, you know, because then you'll end up drained and depleted and forgotten about at some point if you know, like if you give and give and give and it's like, oh, we don't need you anymore. You know, if you have a horrible support system around you, there are instances, thankfully, thank God, that, you know, if you deplete yourself, you can kind of fall back on your support system once they're in a position to give to you, which is a blessing, but everybody doesn't have that. So again, being discerning with who you're doing this with and what you're doing it for is key. But with this clear your mental and physical clutter, you will feel so much better. People may say that you are very like all over the place in terms of like maybe when you walk in your house, it looks like you got maybe you have kids and it's toys all over the place. Maybe it's laundry in the basket that needs to be done. Maybe the bed's not made. Maybe you need to vacuum. Things like that may be done, but it's because you're always working to obtain something. But people may actually take notice of that and say that to other people, like, "Oh, well, yeah, they hard working, but their house look crazy," you know. Like, it's just a matter of cleaning up, though, you know. And if you are financially stable enough and you can't find the time to do it, then hire someone to do it. It's just that simple, you know. Like, there's so many ways to get to one thing, like as far as answers go. But as far as the mental clutter goes, again, I feel like that goes back to what I was saying with this having compassion for yourself. And maybe there's like past trauma and like things that you've been through that you haven't seemed to move past. Not that you can't, because you can. You just haven't seemed to gotten around to it, because you have other obligations on your mind. I feel like that's definitely something people say about you, is that you kind of focus on the more tangible things, or you focus on your relationships with other people and not your relationship with yourself. So that's what I'm getting for the oracle messages, everything that's coming out. So I'm going to get into your tarot cards now and see what they say. So your first card, you have the Two of Wands. Second card is the King of Pentacles. Third card is the King of Cups. Fourth card is the Nine of Wands. And your fifth and last card is the Moon card. Interestingly enough, that is your only major arcana, and that talks about insecurities, or like the darker parts of you, the shadow parts, or the uncertainty that can come along with life. And it ends the reading. So I feel like here's the thing. I feel like you are actually very expansive when it comes to your mind. Like with this Two of Wands card and her holding a map, like it's not like she's sitting here with the two wands and looking out into the distance and seeing all she can see. She's looking at a map. So I feel like you exhaust all possibilities, and that's something that people admire about you. Is like you are so hardworking. I can't, I know I keep saying that, but it's like you're so hardworking that you will exhaust all possibilities before you finally give up on something. Like even when it comes to relationships or friendships, I feel like you will do anything in your power to make it work. But on the flip side of that, I feel like that could stem from that insecurity wound, because if you find yourself in these, like you may have been in relationships with other people who may have said behind your back that you're like you're easy to get over on because you're so kind, you're so compassionate, and you have all this grace for other people. But then when it comes to yourself, you're like, oh, well, I'm just going to take what I can get in terms of, surface level relationships and stuff like that. But I feel like your mind goes further than that in the grand scheme of things. Like I feel like a part of you, people, and I think that's why people stress it so much, is because a part of you knows that you desire more and you deserve more. And others may feel that same way about you. I actually think they do. They say, you deserve more than what you give yourself. And if you would only put your mind and your money and your heart where your soul is, and kind of pour into that more, then you'd be able to expand further. But with these two kings here, King of Pentacles and King of Cups, I do feel like other people say, like, on the outside, you look really, really good. Like, things look really well for you. And that's why you're able to, again, harvest up here and share your wealth. I feel like you have no problem doing that. You're very secure when it comes to that. There's certain aspects of life that you are very certain in. Like, you're a very effective communicator. Excuse me. You're very in tune with your emotions. Whether or not you acknowledge them when they need to be acknowledged is a whole nother thing. But I feel like you're very in tune with them. You're very go with the flow. And that's something people love about you, honestly. It's all about just doing things within healthy reason, There's nothing wrong with you like, but you know, there are certain aspects that could use a little toughening up. I feel like people say that you're a bit like soft when it comes to that area. Like you kind of not. I don't want to say a pushover, because I do feel like you know when to say when on certain boundaries, but you will still let other things slide. Um, and this Nine of Wands kind of plays back into what I was saying about you being very hardworking and very hard on yourself. Because this talks about like kind of going the distance, or going through a whole lot. And maybe your backstory, if people know your backstory, they may say like, this person has been through a lot. Like they have been through a whole lot, and they still have this giving nature about them. They still are so kind. But when you're by yourself, you're still very hard on yourself. You're still trying to get it right. You will stay up all night racking your brain on one tiny thing, and allow it to kind of maybe eat away at you, depending on what it is. But yeah, I feel like overall, like I said, you have amazing, beautiful qualities about you. Like on the surface, when it comes to your money, when it comes to your communication, when it comes to, you know, where you're headed and the direction you're headed in life, it looks like, you know, people don't necessarily say you're going anywhere bad or you're headed down the wrong way. However, I do feel like they notice that you're a bit too I don't want to say too, yes I do, too nice. There's nothing wrong with being kind. There's nothing wrong with being a good person, but nice people at times can get walked on, because there's no, the boundaries are set, but only to a certain extent. And I think that is what people notice about you, and what they ultimately end up saying. So pile 2, if this resonates with you, please let me know down below in the comments. You can like and subscribe as well. I would love for you to join this community. And yeah, I thank you all so much for being here, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day or your night. Hey pile 3, welcome to your reading. So if you chose this gold feather here, then here we go. So like I told all the other piles, I laid out the oracle cards here because it's a whole lot, and I was trying to figure out how I was going to situate it. By the way, my kitten is eating, so if it picks up on that, then I do apologize in advance. Hopefully she's done soon, but I am not going to stop her from doing her thing, and I want to get this reading done. So without further ado, let's get into your oracle messages. So we're going to start with the 2 up here. So we have Queen Nandi with intuition for your first card. And then we have Oshun with fearless love for your second card. Okay, so these are very interesting, because now I don't know much about like all these African goddesses and stuff, but a couple of them I have researched before. And Queen Nandi is Shaka Zulu's mother. And I believe she was like shunned and like kind of casted out, like treated as an outcast in some way, shape, or form when she was pregnant. And you know, it kind of caused her to, I mean, she always had this confidence within her. She trusted that her son would be someone of importance. However, she still had all these like adversities and people come up against her. And then you have Oshun here, who is like the embodiment of like love and beauty and aesthetics. But then on the other hand, she can like really shake some shit up, like tear some shit up. Just as beautiful as she can make something, she can make it a mess as well. So I'm getting the feeling of like what I feel like people may say about you behind your back is that you may actually allow your what happens to you in life to dictate or to determine how you feel about yourself. But they wish you trust your intuition more, or have more confidence and assurance within yourself when it came to your own goals and making things happen for yourself. Because you have more power than you realize. Like I was saying with her, she's kind of seen one way, but people don't factor in that other side of her. So I think like on the outwardly you may like look defeated, feel defeated, act defeated, but then like there's strong power within you that it hasn't come to be realized yet that others wish you would see within yourself. I'm feeling like you have like a strong depth to you, and you may be fearful of other people seeing that to some extent because it would create an entirely different version of yourself. But I feel like other people behind your back say that that's something that they'd actually be interested in seeing, because the version of you that you do show the world or showcase to the world isn't necessarily your best, if that makes sense. So it's like you have this kind, loving spirit to you, but you kind of stay closed off and kind of cast yourself out of the conversation or the room, or maybe stay to the back, and others wish you would show your light a bit more often. So let me get into these oracle cards. So you got the farther gate, bold step forward. Oh, girl, don't be moving my table. Then you got skywriting the fates. She's so cute. And then you got overflow, overwhelm, and plenty. All right. So yeah, going back to what I was saying, I feel like, so starting over here with this, the farther gate card, bold step forward, I feel like you kind of stay in your realm, you stay in your bubble. Like other people feel like they say behind your back that you are kind of predictable in a sense. Like you are afraid to take the steps that are necessary in order to push you into that next level of your life or that next stage of your life, but you're very much capable of it at the same time. So I feel like they kind of add that in there. Otherwise, they wouldn't be saying it. Like, you know, oh, this person stays safe here in this realm because they know it. But we know that they have the potential to go further, which is why we vocalize it. So maybe like people at your job or maybe even family members who have seen you grow may feel like you don't really, like you have all this potential. That's what I'm getting. Like you have a lot of potential, but just think of what potential is when it's not used. It's still just potential. It's not really like tangible or something that you can see results from, because it's kind of just stuck in your imagination. So maybe you're in your head a lot. I mean, I do notice like there's like some white to every, like there's light shining here, and then clouds here, but it's all like kind of pointing towards, now I like someone who doesn't know what direction to go in, who doesn't know who to look to for clarity. So like say for example, someone who doesn't meditate, or they don't pray, or they don't, you know, sit in isolation with themselves to like cleanse what's around them or their thoughts. With this skywriting the fates card, I do feel like people may say, like some people may say like it's just fated to be this way. It's fated to, like, and I feel like for in this aspect, it's more so just a challenge towards you and your potential. It's like, oh, well, pile 3, you know, this is where they're comfortable at. It's just fated to be this way. This is just what it is. It's never going to go anywhere else. But then on the other side, there are those people who, like I said, they notice the potential in you, and they notice that you stay stagnant and stuck. However, they would like to see more from you. So you got your haters, and then you got your your team that's cheering you on at the same time, which is to be expected in all aspects of life. Even people who are doing their best have haters and people cheering them on. So that's not to say that you should feel bad about anything, because this could simply just be a phase that you're in as well. And maybe this reading here is simply put in place to propel you into that next stage, to knowing that you can do it, because you see what other people are saying. And when you're not around at that, it's different when you're in the room and you hear these things. But when you're not around, it's like, wow, this is, I don't know, this is like I said in the intro, it could come as a surprise, or it could confirm some things for you that you already knew within yourself. But either way, you take it and apply it to your life in whatever way you see fit. Positively, of course. I'm not encouraging any like bad decisions. But then with this overflow, overwhelm, and plenty card, I feel like you may like, so the potential that you have within you, other people may see you get overwhelmed a lot, or they see that it's just, it becomes too much. Like life may seem like it's too much at times, or maybe you're very empathetic and you take on other people's energies a lot easier than you can handle at times. And people notice that because you may tend to be off on your own, or just like I said, in your head a lot. However, it's just a matter of like channeling that energy and finding a way that works for you, even if it becomes like a ritual or routine that you set up for yourself. That's just a little piece of advice. Sorry, I just had to say that, because I don't really like where, I'm not gonna say I don't like where this is going, but I will say I don't necessarily prefer to give the more uncomfortable news if there's a way like it can be, worked through. And there's always a way, so we're gonna figure it out. Anyway, let's keep going. So I feel like you also, going back into this Oshun card, this kind of piggybacks off of it. You have a lot of emotion inside of you. Like, I feel like on the surface, you may keep it very, very neutral and like maybe very even dull. And I'm using that with quotations because like it just seems very like monotonous. I'll say that. But inwardly, you may have like a sea of emotions that you are afraid other people will judge you by, because it makes you step into this different part of yourself. It takes you out of the surface and into the water. It takes you off the surface and into the water. I'm sorry. And it can get deep. Just think of the ocean. We don't know how deep that ocean goes, but either way, I feel like people notice like, wow, like he or she stays right here and they don't move. Like they're very unwavering in terms of damn near anything. So maybe people see you as kind of stoic in a sense as well at times. That could definitely be something that they say about you. But let's get into these cards now. You have, you're too amazing to follow everyone else. Forge your own path. Give your inner critic a vacation day and be kind to yourself. And stop pushing against what is, align with it, and move on. And it's 11:11 on the clock when I just said that. So, or just finished that rather. So I feel like that is further confirmation. So with this, you're too amazing to follow everyone else, forge your own path card. I think this goes back into what I was saying about the monotony of things. Like I feel like you just follow what is. Like you kind of just go, not necessarily with the flow, because the flow could change. I feel like you stay on the surface, so you don't even have to deal with the water. And I feel like people notice that about you, and they say you're not very deep, but not in a shallow way, but just like in a way where it's like, all right, we never know when such and so is upset or angry, because they're always to themselves anyway. Like they don't really deal with other people, so how are we to know how they're feeling? They don't really talk. You could be very quiet. The intuition is quiet, and that is one of your first cards that came out. So you could just have this very quiet way to you, and people take it as you being standoffish, but this is telling you to forge your own path and to be that other thing and to take that bold step forward. So it's up to you, essentially. You can stay right where you are if you'd like to. However, I don't know if life will be as fulfilling as it would be if you were to actually do the thing that scares you. Because I feel like that's something that people say. You kind of beat yourself up. You don't really talk to yourself in the nicest of ways, and when you do talk, and you kind of just keep to yourself. Stop pushing against what is and align with it and move on. I feel like with that card in particular, people may say like you have a hard time adapting to change. You have a hard time and not in a way where it's like you kind of give pushback to any and everything that comes in the way of that. It's just you'll again isolate until that change is something that you find yourself being comfortable enough with versus going into it and jumping in. So they may say you're not very like experimental, and when it comes to life, you have one way of being, and it's kind of like you get what you get with you, and there's not much more to it. It's very interesting you picked this gold card, gold feather, because to me personally it's the brightest one. It's even brighter than the white and gold one for me, and it's also the solid one. The solid, so it gives off this like it gives off a feeling of wanting things to be one way and no other way. Like there is no room for anything else. But it is the brightest card, and you do get very deep. You have a deep way to you. You have that you're just afraid to explore. So, getting back into your reading and let's get into your tarot now. So, your first tarot card is the Magician. Second one is the Hierophant. Third one is the Ace of Wands in reverse. Fourth one, is the Moon card. And then your last and final one is the World in reverse. All right. Again, it's about, you have a lot of potential. First of all, with this Magician card to come out first, you have literally everything you need inside of you. And I feel like people say that. Like, I just wish pile 3 would understand that they have everything they need. They don't need an outside source. They don't need an outside opinion. They don't need an outside anything. But it's just potential. You think of the Magician in the story of the major arcana and how it plays out. The Magician has all these things and the tools, and they're realizing that they have everything they need, but it's not yet applied. And this is like unapplied potential, unapplied dreams, goals, and visions. And it's like you have so much light inside of you, and you have so much power inside of you that hasn't been realized because it can't come to actualization because you're afraid. And I feel like people notice that fear. Like that may be one of the first things that they notice is like, I feel like pile 3 is afraid of themselves in a sense. I feel like they're afraid of their depth. But with this Hierophant card, you actually got more major arcana than any of the other piles. You have 4 out of 5 cards that are major arcana. I just want to make that very clear. So what it is that you're dealing with right now, it has, if you were to like really take the reins on this and like take charge, you have the potential to literally alter and shift your life in a way that makes no sense. Like, I mean, it makes sense. Obviously there's logical reason behind everything, but I'm saying like it will literally blow people's minds if you were to apply it. And they know that. Some people really know that. And that's the ones that kind of say, oh, this is fated. This is all there ever be, because they're fearful of the fact that you can do better than what you're doing right now. But the Hierophant card kind of plays into what I was saying about finding because Hierophant, you think of like religious tradition, doing things the same. Not only that, but it's ruled by Taurus, which is very stubborn energy. So we're talking about like something being stuck. Something like I don't know, you know what just came to my head? That Cardi B song Up, when she be like, it's up and it's stuck. Like I don't know why, because I ain't heard that song forever, but I just thought about it and I'm like, that could literally be you. You could make it go up and it would be stuck. Like that's how much power you have, untapped potential that you have within you that you're just not building on. And I don't know if it's outside opinions that have done this, because the people who have said this is all you will ever be. Maybe those opinions have stuck with you. Whether they said it, I mean, and that sounds like something they would have said to you in person. Now, behind your back, there still may be people saying that. But again, like I said, you have people cheering you on. And they're saying Pile 3 has the potential to be whatever they want to be, if only they would see things more clearly. And with the Hierophant card, that is when it comes to seeing things more clearly. And then you move into the 6, which is the Lovers. And that's moving along with what your heart decides to do. And that's where you want to be at. Not in the mind, because the mind has a way of playing tricks on you, you know. And I know this isn't an advice reading. I'm sorry. I don't even know I turned it into this. I'm going to turn it back in a minute. But I just feel like I feel called to say this. So that's the only reason I'm doing it. So, and you're probably going to have the longest reading, but it's okay. I'm going to get back to it. Stay on topic. But either way, I feel like I said, with this Hierophant, you know, you got to kind of take, it's facts over feelings in this situation. It's what I can be versus what I think I can be right now in this moment, or what I feel I can be, rather. Not even think. But you know, it just feels like there's this real like tug of war going on with you, because Ace of Wands talks about like delays and not moving forward with something, or being fearful of it. Even it's the beginning of the Wands. It's like when people say, oh, well, when Pile 3 goes to take action or something, they get cold feet and they back out. And it's like getting to the root of why you do that is going to be very beneficial to you, because this is highlighting your insecurities that people see. This is highlighting your inability to see that you've been through so much and you have so much more to go, that you've learned so much. People doubt you because you doubt yourself. And that is just that's what I'm getting from here. People doubt you because you doubt yourself. People, there's on one aspect of things, people including you, talk bad and talk down about yourself and say, oh, well, this person should be is a cast out. But it's all based on your internal view of yourself. And not only that, but then again, like I said, you have these people who love and support you. This will be your support system. You know, believe them. Believe those words, because they're not going to lie to you. They're there to support you, not lie to you. You know, so it's just keep that in mind. Because like I said, you picked the brightest feather, in my opinion, and the most solid one. And it's just like, while on one end it can be like, okay, there's no room for change. This also could have been a feather that was turning. Where's the other ones at? Like, if you think of this white feather, this is turning gold. Either it's turning gold or it's turning white. You never know. But let's say, for example, it's turning gold. And I'm not knocking the pile that this was for. What I'm just saying is everything has some sort of logic or understanding behind it. And it makes sense in the end. And why you chose this versus this, it says a lot. Not only that, but even the black one too. Same thing. The tips are gold. This is all gold. And I feel like, for real, because the other piles, not for nothing, but they weren't going through it like you. At least it didn't feel like that on the surface. It felt more so like you're the one going through it the most. You're the one who lacks the most confidence, lacks the most depth, because you don't allow it. And that's the only reason. It's not that you don't have it. It's just that you don't allow it. But because of that, other people see that. And they can only go based off of what they see. You know? So, but yeah. So, Pile 3, this is what I'm picking up for you. This is what I got for you. If it resonates, please let me know down below in the comments. I mean, I know this is more touchy, so you don't necessarily have to if it's not something you feel called to do. But if so, please let me know. You can also like and subscribe as well. I would love for you to join my community, our community. And yeah, I thank you so much for being here with me, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day or your night.